Well, I'm very proud this first slide. It's not saying the roadmap, but the thing I'm very proud of that after EuroDISH and the EuroDISH logo, we slowly move forward to a next phase, DISH RI. And I'm the only one presenting on this combination of slides my presentation. The roadmap. What actually is a roadmap? Just to get you informed about this term, I have, we have Googled 2 pictures, nothing to do with EuroDISH. A roadmap actually has a design of a road, like for you the picture on the left. It has a starting point and an end point. If you can see the picture on the left, it will start somewhere. And in the end, you have the advocate of the year as the end point of the roadmap. Beside this more simple game-like picture, you have a more advanced picture representing different activities in a roadmap, different stage all over a different time period, but also interlinkages between different activities and different stage. All belonging, all combining is a kind of roadmap starting from a point, a starting point towards an end point. And the last picture is the most complex one, just contributing to your imagination what actually we are going heading off with EuroDISH. Just another picture, starting point, end point, east to Seoul. A direction, framing it within a timeline with different phases, actions and steps made by people or perhaps deliverables to be obtained, and all kinds of different actions, the milestones which actually is contributing by the path we are taking, and also additional actions contributing to the milestones. So this is where we're talking about roadmaps in general. For the EuroDISH, towards the DISH RI, we also will develop. We still have a few months to go, but already have established the first initial roadmap. What do we want to achieve? A fully operational DISH RI in 2025. As Gabriela already introduced with the S3 roadmap and all the steps within launching new research infrastructure that should be linked to a specific time period, mostly in a framework of 10 years. Where are we now? At this moment, at the end of the project, in the summer, we have a full conceptual design from the EuroDISH project, moving towards the DISH RI, and that will be the end point of the EuroDISH. So that is more or less the starting point, the east. And how do we get to the end point, the DISH RI, is to establish steps to build up in different parts, in different steps, in different prioritization, the DISH RI, the European DISH RI. What will be the organization and the timeline involved? If we look at the left side, the right side, sorry, of this slide, you have a few steps to be taken in account, and these steps are mainly in line with the S3 roadmap steps, how they build up research infrastructure. We have now a conceptual design presented by Peter and Karin, and we're moving forward to the design phase. So more in depth, taking into account all kinds of issues, which actually is on the left side of this slide, about funding, governance, including management, legal structure, very important, technical issues. We have already mentioned, Gabriela, but also Peter mentioned the e-infrastructure, the virtual, the data entry point, etc. Access to the research infrastructure and data. Well, already Martijntje refers to the member states involved in GPI and their linkages towards perhaps DISH RI that needs to be solved. And of course the membership, who has access to what and for what kind of cost, member state level, etc. And then after we have settled and explored this in a design study, we move towards a pre-preparatorial phase and a preparatorial phase, which actually also is 3 years, and there you're going to take the steps to have it implemented. So if we talk again about the same issues, but then we try to make it far more operational, actually contributing to the main pain points of the discussions, and come up with a kind of agreement, a kind of consortium or membership agreement, etc., etc. So it's actually contributing to the implementation phase, which is the next stage, and in the end, the operational phase. And by then, we covered the 10 years, which is, if you look more in detail, not quite challenging, I think. To have it in a picture, this roadmap, well, you clearly can see where we are now, the Expo Milano, the design phase, again, the preparatorial, the implementation phase, and we also want to have more member states involved. Actually, we introduced the DISH RI with some member states politically or financially connected to the DISH RI, and our ambition is for every 2 years to have, to have 2 or more member states involved. So this is an ongoing, growing process. We need to do some PR, we need to discuss, but it should be ongoing and growing during this 10 years. On the other hand, we have research projects also contributing to the aims of this research infrastructure, perhaps taking forward smaller parts of the research infrastructure to make it more tangible but also more feasible. And then, of course, we have the research infrastructure building together with the member states and on European level if we are rewarded with the DISH RI on the F3 roadmap. So this modular approach, hub and spokes model, is very interesting as a path of growth, of growing the research infrastructure. And I try to explain this more in detail. As in several presentations already referred, the member states are more or less in charge within the research infrastructure, and also based on the needs within a country, within a member state itself. But in the end, the member states are the ones who are in charge with financing and contributing. Another aspect is the public-private partnership, the interaction between those two stakeholders on topics or on initiatives, which is very important to discuss. The knowledge synchronization, public health institutes, as was already mentioned from the audience, that this was something missing. How can we incorporate this more and more structural in the design of the DISH RI? And DISH RI is a long-term perspective, and in this context we really need to think in models to build it up. We don't have this large amount of money to settle down in once. Sorry? Okay, so back to this picture. Peter already presented it. I don't going to present this in depth, but the interesting part is that we see projects like Susvans, I will elaborate on this, Richfields, Global Diet, Eurofear, Dedipac, and Padasi, already mentioned in different presentations, building up as a project specific parts of this overarching DISH RI. And this is an interesting approach because this is feasible and this is for the member states very, very clear and very transparent what the outcomes will be. If we look at from an overarching perspective for the DISH RI, we have a level on European level and we have a member state level. We have a part that is building the DISH RI and we have part what is more mentioned as research projects, which all are interrelated. Looking at the S3 roadmap, we submitted at the 31st of March the DISH RI, contributing of 4 member states, where actually 2 of them have financial support. From the European level on research projects, we have this Richfield, SUS-funds, and if we look at the GPI, we have Dedipac, Padasi, and the yes, all right, biomarkers, yes, that's the word I was searching for, thank you. And on the member state level, we have a discussion from the different involved member states already, how to move forward with the Ministry of Science and the Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Innovation, how to move forward on this. And what you see is that in the Netherlands, this discussion is moving slightly in another process than, for instance, in Denmark and Italy and UK, which is very interesting and gives a lot of learning points. And then we have in the Netherlands, for instance, DISH NL to develop the Dutch hub. So this just examples, but realistic and already established examples how to move forward on short term contributing this DISH RI. So what I said, we already have put forward a proposal, submitted. We have passed the first threshold, so we are eligible, and it's now at the scientific work group of health and food of the F3 to be in discussion and to show one more picture, but then that it actually is food and diet related. We added the plates. We built up the plate with actual food, and Peter already explained this picture. But this is where it's all about: the food side towards the health side, and in between the one who is eating it, the consumer. We have another project grounded, Richfields, and Richfields is a research infrastructure on consumer health and food intake for e-science with linked data sharing. We are invited to start in October, and we will sign the grant agreement, I think, before the summer. And this project is actually going to run with a lot of people, food manufacturer on board, Eurofear on board. We have Global Diet as a subcontractor, so a lot of people and projects already mentioned fleeting in this project. Yeah, I do my best. This is actually the framework of the project. We have a part which is completely consumer related. So the consumer data on purchase, the consumer data on preparation, and the consumer data on consumption. It is the in situ context, so real-time, on-the-spot data collection. And we have a part, and this is below the cloud, which is connecting to actually existing RIs, which is already there and which Gabriela already put forward on her slide. Not only on the food and health side, but also on the health and lifestyle side. We are connecting data on the food and purchase side, which actually has to do with food composition, food reformulation, etc. projects or research or starting research infrastructure, trying to connect this to the cloud of this consumer data platform. And we have connecting facilities, and there is where Food Money Future contributes. It's about virtual labs and facilities to actually more in the artificial context collect data of the consumer. And what are we going to explore in Richfield? How to establish this data platform on behavior, lifestyle in the relation to food and health. So this is quite challenging, and we are very, very happy that this will have, the European Commission will have this started this year as one of the follow-ups of the EuroDISH. Then we have SUS funds, metric and models for foresight for European sustainability, food and nutrition security. A slightly different angle, but also contributing in the modeling sense and from the economic perspective, the more healthy, sustainable, affordable, palatable diet of the European consumer. So from the side of the agriculture economics, from the macroeconomic side, we try to integrate all kinds of model work to contribute in the end to the sharp diet, as we use the acronym for it, which also feed in interesting parts for the consumer towards this DISH RI. Boosting collaboration in the Netherlands, which is just an example. What are we going to do? We're going to explore the interaction between the academia, the research industry, and the research institute and the industry, moving forward to have this DISH RI in the Netherlands established. I think this is the last slide. Trying to get the organization around a collection of harmonized and reliable, accessible, up-to-date intake data more in line with the expectations of the academia and the research institute and the industry. This is a mutual subject where they actually want to sit on board on the table discussing how to help each other to get this done. And this mutual research area will feed into the process to actually get all these stakeholders on board to build a hub of the DISH RI in the Netherlands to become a front runner in Europe and in the further developments of DISH RI, where Netherlands wants to at least have a very clear participation and perhaps a kind of leadership in it. So this is actually what we are going to elaborate after EuroDISH, and I'm very happy to answer questions or to elaborate in another stage of all these projects that I introduced, how we can collaborate. Thank you very much.